Welcome to the latest Motley Fool scoreboard. I'm Anand Chokkavelu, and we've got longtime fools Tyler Crowe and Nick Sciple giving a 1 to 10 rating to a company that specializes in real estate data and marketing platforms. It's CoStar, ticker symbol CSGP. Talk about the business first, including factors like industry and competition. 10 is invincible, 1 is hopeless. Tyler's at an 8. Nick, you're at a 7.
Yeah, I rated CoStar a 7, and I kind of struggled with this one. When it comes to their commercial real estate data business, it's basically a monopoly. It's very difficult for anybody to try to compete with them. If it was that business alone, it's probably a 10. That said, where it's investing most heavily today in its Homes.com business, going after the residential real estate market in the U.S., much more competitive with big platforms like Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, and others. But this is a business that generates 95% of its revenue from subscription and sports 90% plus renewal rates for contracts that have terms of 12 months or longer. So it's a business that is ultra predictable. That said, moving into some more competitive segments of the market.
My score is pretty much thematically the same as Nick's. When it comes to commercial real estate data and like transaction data, like CoStar has built up a near monopoly. It would take a competitor billions of dollars in years to even try to replicate what CoStar has been doing over the past 20 years with its commercial real estate data market and that subscription revenue it brings in from basically. And if you want to be in commercial real estate, you have to have a CoStar subscription if you want to be serious. So as long as it has that franchise, I think CoStar will do likely well. This venture into we call it like residential, the online master limit, or what is it? Multiple listing services, MLS. It has that, it's still an unanswered questions with Home.com, but many of its competitors have stumbled recently. So there is a market opportunity. And then the last thing is I'm not really 100% sure it wants to do with this Matterport acquisition that it just completed. So, there's enough questions despite it being an 8 for me.
Too much time doing those master limited partnerships in energy, Tyler. Let's talk about management. A 10 is Warren Buffett. A 1 is Homer Simpson. Both of you have 8s this time, Nick.
Yeah, I rated Andy Florance an 8. He is the CEO and co-founder of CoStar, grew the business to this dominant commercial real estate giant that we talked about earlier, then took that data business and in the 2010s pivoted into the marketplace business. In 2012, acquired LoopNet, which is now the leader in commercial real estate property listings. And then in 2014, acquired Apartments.com, which I'm sure we've all seen the Jeff Goldblum commercials, the leader in apartment listings today. He's still got his foot on the pedal with Homes.com, as we've talked about, trying to, again, as he's did with Apartments.com and LoopNet, take over this market of residential real estate.
I get an 8 as well, but one of the things that kind of I'm nervous of is second acts in any business is hard. Zillow tried iBuying. That was not great. Whatever the heck the metaverse was, I don't, beyond me to actually figure out what that was. And I tend to be more partial to businesses that stick to their knitting, like LoopNet and the things that CoStar has done. But that said, Florence has done a really good job with its other endeavors. So I'm going to kind of just give him the benefit of the doubt in this one. And also I kind of appreciate, for me, I'm big on compensation packages, and CoStar's is considerably better than most of its competitors. For the past 10 years, the total stock-based compensation that CoStar has put out is roughly equivalent to 1 year of stock-based comp at Zillow. So it kind of gives you an idea of what we're talking about here.
That is a remarkable statistic, and that tracks with what I've seen from Zillow's compensation. For financials, a 10 is a fortress, a 1 is yikes. Both of you have 8s here as well, Nick.
Yeah, I rated CoStar an 8. It's grown revenue at a double-digit rate every quarter since Q2 2011, has nearly $3 billion in net cash on its balance sheet, and generates sustainable free cash flow. That said, the company is spending like crazy to try to market and grow Homes.com, including $1 billion in spend in 2024 alone, and that return on investment is still uncertain, as we've been talking about through this entire presentation.
Yeah. The one quibble I would have with its financials right now is cash flow has deteriorated since 2020. Some of that may be the commercial real estate market being atrocious for the past 3 or 4 years. Some of it may be those big expenses coming up to really spin up Homes.com and take on the Zillows of the world. But there's no getting around the fact that cash generation isn't what it is. And I'd like to see that return a little, perhaps once it's maybe built up a dominant position at Homes.com.
Tyler, let's move on to valuation. How well will CoStar stock do over the next 5 years? How safe is it? 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
For all the good things we've said, well, this is where it's going to get a little ugly for us. I said 5 to 10 with a safety score of 3. And as much as the business looks good and all the nice things that I've said about this company, I shudder at the idea of a business trading for 290 times earnings. Like, maintaining that kind of valuation is in my opinion, practically impossible. And even over a longer term, like 5 years, a valuation like that, if there's any change in valuation, it's going to drastically impact long-term returns.
Yeah, I went 10 to 15%, but with the same safety score of 3. CoStar investing heavily in Homes.com, as we've laid out earlier, spending $1 billion in the year 2024. It's grown Homes.com already to the second largest real estate portal in the U.S., behind Zillow. If that pays off in a similar way to Andy Florence's investments in Apartments.com last decade, this could launch a new leg of growth that powers CoStar stock higher. If you look at the past 5 years, stock only up about 16%, reflecting a lot of this investment in Homes.com. I think that is also part of why you see this valuation multiple blow out significantly over the past few years. That said, if you flip Homes.com from being a money vacuum into a money printer, then that multiple could come down pretty quickly, and the market's attitude about the stock could change. At the same time, hard for the commercial real estate market to get any uglier than it's been over the past 5 years. So with those investments starting to pay off and with the market tailwinds maybe hopefully building behind them, I see potential for higher returns.
Its net income margin's only about 4%, and that kind of fuels that 290 times earnings for now. So maybe they can expand margins. Let's talk about everyone's favorite, Top It, Tyler. Is there a company in that space that you like better than CoStar? We've talked about a lot of the competition.
No, not really. Like I kind of bashed quite a bit of the competition in this presentation so far. I think you're in this industry. You're kind of betting on the jockey, and I'd rather bet on Andy Florence than Glenn Kelman at Redfin. I guess that's now at Rocket, or whoever's in charge at Zillow these days. I think that Florence has proven to be one of the best in the business, even at 290 times earnings.
Yeah, I agree with Tyler. I think CoStar is the clear leader when it comes to real estate data. And I think their positioning as they move into, these larger real estate marketplaces, that core business is really going to help them compete. Zillow doesn't have that same type of reliable subscription business to fall back on. That said, as Tyler mentioned, Rocket Companies acquiring Redfin, I'm interested to see what happens with that business, given that it's got that similar profile of that strong mortgage business that can help support investments in Redfin. But I still think Andy Florence is the jockey to bet on here, and CoStar is the company to invest in if you're interested in this market.
Thanks to both Nick and Tyler. They've given CoStar a mediocre overall score of 6.6 out of 10. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Boston Beer. Till then, Fool on.
I think Zillow is wrecked here. I think I have my most confidence is in what's going to happen with Rocket and Redfin, and then what's going on with CoStar. And I think Zillow gets left behind